Pas de soleil, pas de soleil, pas de soleil. Pas de soleil, pas de soleil, pas de soleil.
Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing the Ice Barrier deck profile. So this here is the budget variant. I did promise you that I was actually going to combine the 3 structure decks and try to build something budget out of this. Eventually I do plan on actually doing an actual deck profile for Ice Barriers where I actually do go beyond just the budget variant and I incorporate cards outside of it. But yeah, with that being said, this is my budget variant of it, and it is definitely very interesting. I do love the aesthetic appeal of Ice Barriers in general. Firstly, I actually have these clear sleeves on it, and it kind of perpetuates the Ice Barrier theme, being that you have these clear sleeves which kind of indicate the whole clear iciness of Ice Barriers, but at the same time you also have the white sleeves here as well, which is already kind of like ice itself. So again, it's just following the whole theme, and overall just having this sleeved up all like this, it really suits the aesthetic. I really love the whole synchros being all just synchros like that as well, and this is only possible because of the fact that this is a budget variant of the deck and it allows me to actually just play all the synchro monsters. But with that being said, let's just get started with the deck profile. Alright, so to begin, we're playing 3 copies here of Revealer. I already talked about all these new cards in the chill session, so if you guys haven't seen that video, definitely go watch that first. But with that being said, I've established that Revealer is definitely a staple at 3, so that's why I'm playing her at 3. Moving on, we're also playing 3 copies here of Speaker. Definitely a really amazing card, just summons out really easily, and overall I just can't imagine myself playing any less of her. With that being said, we are playing 1 copy of Zujin. A lot of deck profiles don't actually incorporate this particular card. A lot of other decks that I've seen really just don't even mention this card at all, and I kind of understand why. I definitely overestimated this card by actually misreading it, I guess, during the chill session, where I thought this card might have been better. But considering that we're barely playing any level 5 or higher Ice Barrier monsters from our hand, or in this deck in general, Zujin isn't as actually that amazing at all. I mean, I'd play 3 if your whole deck was filled with level 5s or higher, but you're not really doing that. So if anything, 1 copy is more than enough that you'll actually need for the deck, and it's kind of a shame that they made this the ultra rare instead. It could have been for a card that we might have utilized a bit more, but you know, regardless, it's fine. We're playing 1 copy of it because I am playing some kind of interesting tech that a lot of people aren't actually playing in their decks. Moving on, we are playing over here the General Wayne, so it kind of is a follow-up on the Zujin for the fact that this is actually a level 5 monster, so it can actually work with this. But with that being said, it does already have its own effect to special summon on its own, so there's no need to actually use Zujin to actually summon out the General Wayne. That'll actually be for another monster later on. But I felt that 2 copies of Wayne definitely worked well. Some people might actually drop the copy of Zujin and then put in the 3rd copy of Wayne. That is definitely a possibility, but the fact that this is kind of like a hard once per turn effect, I thought that maybe 2 copies would be more than enough, and it definitely has been working. And for the last of the new Ice Barrier monsters, we're playing here 2 copies of Hexa. Hexa is also really good. We only really need 2 of them because we are playing cards that can recover the Hexa anyway, such as the Salvage in our deck that we'll get into later on. But yeah, with that being said, 2 Hexas is more than we need to actually go for our synchro plays. For a bit of the old Ice Barriers, we're playing here 2 copies of Prior, and we're also playing 2 copies here of Defender. I feel like the ratios here are definitely just great to my liking, so I'm not going to change anything about these at all. For a bit of the one-offs, we're going to be playing here the Medium. Definitely a really amazing card. It summons out on its own with its own effect anyway, and you also prevent your opponent in some sort of way by locking them out of spell trap plays. And then of course we're playing here the General Guntala. A lot of people don't actually play this in their decks, but I thought about incorporating it in. I felt that relying wholeheartedly into your synchro plays is not really the greatest option, because if your opponent locks you out, what are you going to do? You're going to have to rely on some sort of main deck boss monster to actually do the job for you at times. Because of that, the Zujin before can actually summon out the Guntala, and that would definitely be quite amazing. Not to mention, at the end of the turn, Guntala can actually special summon an Ice Barrier from our graveyard, so it's quite nice. It allows you to kind of refill your board, and yeah, it acts as a really good boss monster, as an alternative boss monster to actually do some stuff in case you can't go for your synchro plays. Now for a bit of the non-Ice Barrier monsters, we're playing here the Gen X engine. Definitely very nice here, just allowing you to get your resources really easily, and either way you're just going to be discarding them anyway for your card effects, which is just what Ice Barrier is all about. And finally with monsters, we're playing here 2 copies of Silent Angler. Now if this were any other deck like a Link deck or an Xyz deck, I might play 3 copies of it, but Silent Angler is really just an easy card to bring out to go for our synchro summons, and that's pretty much it really. So you don't really need more of these, because our entire extra deck is just synchro monsters. If it was Link monsters, yeah, going for 3 of these would be nice, because you know, you could just keep going forever and ever and ever on Link plays and Link climbing, but you know, with it being full on synchros, yeah, you honestly don't need any more. This is a budget variant after all, and 2's more than enough. Okay, so onto the spells. We are playing 3 copies here of the Winds Over the Ice Barrier. I did also talk about this card in the chill session video, so if you guys want more detail on it, definitely go watch that video, but I established that this card is also a staple at 3. With that being said, we also have another staple at 3, and that is Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, an absolutely amazing card that we already went over. So yeah, this is just a really great card. Moving on, we are playing 3 copies here of Medallion of the Ice Barrier. I mean, this is essentially the Searcher of the deck. It's not even a hard once per turn, so if you draw into all 3 of these, absolutely amazing. You're essentially just playing 37 cards in your deck, and alternatively, well, not alternatively, but in some kind of ideal world, this is technically better than Upstart Goblin. I mean, don't you think that? If you're actually playing the actual deck itself, like, you know, outside of just the budget variant that I am showing you guys today, then playing it with the Upstart Goblin as well, that would make it a 36 card deck, which would be pretty amazing. But Medallion is good for the fact that you get to add a specific Ice Barrier monster from your deck, and so it's definitely quite superior to Upstart Goblin in that sense. Of course, we have to play our form of Monster Reborn, and that would be the Surface. Surface is very nice for the fact that it summons back monsters. I would play 3 only if it weren't actually restricted to level 3 monsters, which is kind of bad. I mean, well, it's alright. It's level 3 or lower, but even so, it's definitely a far slower card. But it does help you extend your plays and go for your synchro summons when you need to. And speaking of the recovery, we are actually also playing the 1 copy of Salvage. You really only need 1 of them. Didn't really feel the need to play any more than that, and yeah, it definitely has worked out quite well. Alright, so onto the traps. We're definitely playing here 3 copies of Crackdown. Crackdown's absolutely amazing. It's pretty much an alternative to Infinite Impermanence, but at the same time you also get to take your opponent's monsters in this particular manner. So with that being said, yeah, this card is really great because once you take your opponent's monsters, you could actually just use their monster as a synchro material, which is absolutely amazing for Crackdown. And of course, the final card we're playing here is Icebarn. A lot of people also don't play this card as well. Basically, if a non-water monster is special summoned or normal summoned, and you control a water monster, then you could switch that monster to defense position, which is absolutely amazing because, That's a huge disruption. I mean, what is your opponent really going to do in this particular situation? They're definitely going to struggle against it, and you're pretty much preventing them from doing anything until the next turn, which is really good. And this card is definitely an underrated card, at least for the budget variant. However, that's pretty much it for the main deck, so let's move on to the extra deck. Well, the extra deck is pretty simple because we are just playing 3 copies of every single card. So 3 of the new Trishula, 3 copies of DeLorean, which came off the ban list of course, and of course we're also playing 3 copies of Trishula, 3 copies of Gungnir, and 3 copies of Brionic. Absolutely amazing cards. Kind of sad that Brionic actually got errated, but that's okay. I mean, we have all of these cards available to actually pick from. Definitely quite nice, and you know, stay tuned guys, because I am actually going to be doing a test stand video for this as well, just to demonstrate what the deck can do, and it's a great way to learn the deck as well, and then eventually we can build on to the real deck itself, and that would be quite fun. But of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely drop a like and also share this video. It really helps, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification. However, with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next time.